Welcome to Canada, your new home. And today we are very happy and honored to welcome Mr. Shola to discuss a very important topic. It's very important not only for people who live in Canada, but all over the world. How to take care of our mental health. Mr. Shola is a mental health professional, and we'd love to thank you so much for joining us today, Shola.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on your platform.
Before we dive in, let me ask you what inspired you to become a psychotherapist or a mental health professional?
Well, thank you for that question. That's a very, very interesting question. My inspiration for becoming a psychotherapist or mental health professional actually stemmed from my desires to be able to help other people. Prior to becoming a therapist, I had worked in the corporate world of multinational organizations. Whilst there, one common theme that was evident in my professional life then, and even my personal life, was that it was easy for me to simply listen and provide support for others. And honestly, I simply enjoyed supporting people to discover the tools within themselves that they can use to navigate the challenges that life throws at every one of us once in a while. So yeah, there's this. I had this burning desire to support other people, and so this led me down to the path of psychotherapy.
Amazing. This is very interesting. As I told you, that our channel serves the Arabic speaking community in Canada. And particularly, we focus on the newcomers because it's very hard
Okay.
at the beginning to settle in a new society with all the challenges at the beginning. What are these challenges that newcomers face that may impact
Mhm.
their mental health?
For this, I can only speak from my own experience because I'm also an immigrant, right? I moved here 7 years ago. I lived in the Middle East. I moved from Dubai. I loved my time in the Middle East. It was a great experience for me. Said in terms of being a newcomer in a culture that is completely different from the Middle Eastern culture or the African culture,
Yeah.
which is where I'm from. I know you're also from Africa yourself. So when I moved here, it was a huge culture shock for me. As I learned in my first 3 months that Canada is very different from the Arabic culture,
Yes.
like I said, and that culture is very close to my culture as an African. So for me, it took me a while to actually understand or to navigate the culture here. Whilst both the Arabic and the Canadian culture are welcoming, because they're both very welcoming culture, there's a difference though in the way this is expressed. And that for me was very hard for me to understand. It's like, okay, this is the welcoming culture as well, but there's something I still don't get. When I was in the Arab world, I integrated very quickly with the culture,
Yeah.
right? Because of the many similarities that that culture has in terms of with an African culture. It wasn't difficult at all. I felt right at home on my first day landing there. My colleagues, my friends, my Arab, everybody was so welcoming, right? So it was so easy. And I spoke like I was speaking in an African environment, right? When I moved there, I eventually began to understand the Canadian culture, to be honest. But that became easier for me when I went back to school here.
Okay.
When I did my master's program, that gave me a bit of an insight into this culture and how things are different and how to navigate the culture. I also had a lot of struggle finding a job, having that experience made me question, oh, was this the best move for me? Because I'd worked in, like I said, multinational organizations. I had almost 15 years of experience. So I thought it was going to be an easy integration to find a job. No, it took me a while actually. It took me 4 years. I actually had to go back to school to be
Yeah.
able to find a job. So that was another thing that I struggle with, and I can understand how a newcomer will probably be struggling with the same thing. You'd be
Yeah.
questioning if this was the best move for you. So I had all that questions. Once I began to understand and to accept the difference between the Canadian culture or the Canadian and the Arabic hospitality, it became easy to integrate. I realized, okay, fine, I'm in a different environment. I'm going to have to learn how things are done here, and I'm going to have to be accepting of the culture and see how I can better integrate with our culture, which I think school helped me. I also made some new friends while I was in school. I began to understand people very well. I think having an open mind and the
Oh,
willingness to integrate, and also understanding that, listen, it's a significant move for you to carry yourself from one country and put yourself in another country. So It's good to have a kind of a prepared mind that things may not go exactly the way you want it to go. But yes, you've made the move, make all the effort and integrate as much as you can.
You gave us the challenges, and then you also gave us like some solutions and guidance. Like these
Yeah,
are the challenges that we're going to face when we
correct.
immigrate, but
Yeah.
we have to have an open mind.
Canada is a learning environment. You're always going to be learning something here. This is a good place. One benefit I can say, and I'm grateful for this country, is the fact that you can turn your life around. You can go for a completely different career and
Yes.
start something new. Canada provides you that opportunity. So, as much as it was difficult, I can say I can see the blessing side of being able to move here. Yeah.
Yes. There was an Indian lady. She was at her 80s and she got, like the high school
Wow.
certificate. It was so inspiring. And
Mm,
that's how Canada is, like
yeah.
opening
Yeah.
opportunities to people
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
learning. It's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
continuous learning opportunity. It's amazing and valuable here in the society. So, yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for bringing this up.
Yeah.
Okay, another thing that I appreciate about Canada is a mindset. People say, leave it at work, don't take it home. Today, I'm looking for some strategies that you recommend so we can maintain that boundary between keeping the work problem from affecting our home life.
I guess to start this point off, though, it's good to be clear that I'm here just more from a chat and a educational perspective. I'm not coming here as a psychotherapist to talk to people on how they should manage. I'm not providing therapeutic advice. I'm just supporting people. So I just wanted to be clear before I answer that question. One thing that I believe is it's good to keep problems or work situations from your own life,
Yeah.
your home life. So for me, what I do is I don't discuss my work with my friends or my family.
Oh,
I literally make a mental shift when I leave work that, okay, this is and work is over. I was shutting down. And it's almost like I put on a different mindset that I'm just going to enjoy time with my family. I'm just going to enjoy time with my friends, And because in my opinion, work never ends. And if you don't understand that work never ends, you potentially bring it into your personal relationship. So I make that conscious effort. I literally would imagine myself shutting the door on work when I'm leaving the office and then opening the door to my home. So it's like I do this mental, I guess you can call it the mental gymnastics, but it works, right? It turns off that constant need to see, oh, there's something to be resolved and something to solve because it never ends. Today is Friday, for example. Yeah, I'm still gonna go back to work on Monday. There's still a lot of work to be done. So I'm just gonna enjoy my family and my friends. That's
no.
what I do. That's what I encourage my friends, any other person to do. Work is work. Family and friends are different.
What are some common misconceptions about mental health that you encounter? And I'm asking this question because we want to, like raise an awareness about this topic. I think people avoid going to therapy because
Hmm.
other people will look down at them.
Yeah, that's a very, very valid question. Like we said earlier, right? Once people hear anything mental health, they immediately conclude, oh, that means I'm going to be labeled as insane. And to your point, right? Depending on which part of the world you're from, mental health is looked at. It's almost like a stigma. So a
Yeah.
lot of people run away from that. But what I do is, especially when I'm with people from our kind of communities where we're more communal, we gather together, we talk about these things in our small groups and we kind of say things that may be uncomfortable to other people, but we say it in hush tones. I often take the time to educate them that mental health goes beyond just psychological problems. I
Mm.
tell people it could involve things as conditions relating to your emotion. Your emotion could be down, or it could just be how you're thinking. I mean, you've got problems with the way you're thinking right now. You're constantly getting worried. What is going on there? Right. That is mental health, right? Or maybe you're struggling with certain behaviors. We talked earlier about how not going to bed when you should go to bed is actually a behavioral issue as well. Because if you don't sleep early, it's going to
Mm.
affect your ability to, uh, I guess, be refreshed in the morning when you have to go to work. That is also part of mental health. How can you address such behavior that are not helpful for you ultimately. So that is mental health is not just people that for people who are psychologically affected and they need like severe and serious medications. No, to be honest, and there's even nothing wrong with medication in itself because medication is part of the treatment that we want to give to people. So I use that opportunity to clarify to people. You know what? If you've got emotions, if you're sad today and you realize that that sadness is keeping you stuck for a longer period, that is a mental health issue. It's good to talk to a professional or just chat to somebody you can trust. I understand the stigma that people hold,
Yeah.
but I provide that education whenever I get the opportunity to do that. And I want to say something because I spend a lot of time on YouTube, on social media, and I see amongst the young people in our culture, mental health is not stigmatized. I see they are open, they are more receptive to the idea of mental health. Perhaps maybe they spend more time on social media, they have learned a few things. So even in our culture, I see that is beginning to change.
I was thinking all the time about the
Yeah,
impact of the technology on people, but now you're bringing the bright side.
yeah, yeah. That is true. That is true.
I feel this episode is on time because now we are in fall time. We're filming in October now, and many people suffer from seasonal depression, especially in Canada. So
Mm.
how can we differentiate between, like if I have a mental health issue and if I just I'm under the weather or I have everyday stress or just emotional challenges? How can I differentiate between these things?
I mean, it's a very tricky question. And to I mean, to be able to make that differentiation, I actually need to just go. If you notice that you constantly have low mood and it's taking a long time, and maybe you've been going through it for more than 5 days or more, it makes sense to just go seek professional help or guidance if you can. But to your point about us coming into the fall season, what I advise friends and what I do for myself is that I make it a point to avoid isolation.
Um,
Right. I don't isolate myself. I engage in activities with my friends and my families. I send text to friends if I notice them. I live alone, for example. So when I come home from work and it's everything so quiet, I just text a friend or say, can we meet up for coffee? Just spend time with people to help improve your mood. Because, like you said, it's seasonal.
yeah.
Um, you know what? From people that came from parts of the world where the sun is always up, I never understood that depression can be seasonal until I moved to Canada myself, right? And I'm sure it's most likely the same thing for you until you moved here, because the sun is always up in place. I didn't understand it until I moved here. But I know that what has been helpful is that when I'm active, I'm engaging with friends, go out and I spend time, I pick up the phone and I talk to people. It does lots of wonders for me, and I encourage people to do the same. Um, Another thing I would like to introduce here is also, you know, simple things such as, being affectionate with your partner or with your children, holding hands with the person you love. If you have a dog, because dogs are quite popular, take your dog for a walk, right? And like I said, I'll simply go drink coffee. Activities like this have been known to help improve mood or promote the release of essential hormones. I call them essential hormones, but hormones like oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. These are all good hormones that we need, right? So oxytocin, for example, is known to help with affection. When you express affection to somebody, it releases that hormone. So it brings a lot of relief and a lot of affectionate feelings in you. So the more we spend time with friends, as insignificant as it seems, actually, we're getting some good release of nice chemicals into our body. So yeah, I would say reach out to friends or family and just make sure you're having fun as much as you can.
Wonderful advice from my personal experience as well. Nature walk. I look at colors and try to enjoy it as much as I can when it's not cold. Sorry. How do you approach a treatment for patients with different degrees of mental health conditions?
So I'm going to be answering that from a very educational perspective. I know from what I've seen, what I do to people that I know do this work, that in many cases, talk therapy can be an integration of many therapeutic models. A very popular model that we see around is cognitive behavioral therapy, right? It's one that's had so much research done on it. It's known to work. There's evidence that it works, so it's quite popular. But there are also other models that can be used. There's what they call psychodynamic. There's person-centered, where you're focusing more on the person and how what's going on for them in terms of their emotions, whatever they're going through. Not that you don't focus on the person in the other ones, but this is called person-centered or Rogerian therapy. There's DBT, dialectical behavior therapy. It's closely connected to CBT and it's very helpful to behavior modification and being able to achieve some good changes in how your behavior is. There's what they call narrative therapy. I love this one because it's very it draws a lot from your creative side, and there's a lot of flexibility in this one as well. But yeah, there are many examples of therapeutic models or approaches that can be used. Um, for medication, like I said, I am not qualified. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist or a medical doctor. But usually, what you do is I would encourage people to speak with their family doctor, right, for referral. Go to your doctor, let your doctor refer you to the professional, like a psychiatrist or psychologist, so that they can diagnose you and also determine what's the best way forward in terms of treatment. It could be medication, it
Mm.
could be therapy, it could be a combination of both.
Do you have any other advice to offer to someone who's seeking help for the first time?
Yes, actually, yes, I do. I would like to add something on top of the point about seeing your medical doctor. My advice would be patient with yourself.
Ah.
Right. What I've learned, people are not patient with themselves. People are extremely in a hurry. They don't understand that having mental challenges is almost like you're sick. It's
Mm.
actually a sickness. And the way when you're sick, you have fever, you go for treatment, is the same way you need to take care of your mental health. So being patient uh, and avoid being judgmental of
Mm.
yourself, saying, oh, this should not be me. I'm not good enough. Or I have a problem. This is not, those are self-judgments that are not helpful. They only make matters worse, actually. It's like you have a child, your child is going through a difficult time. You will not say things that would put that child's spirit down and make them feel inadequate. But
Mm.
many people do this to themselves. So I am an advocate of self-compassion. I think being self-compassionate to yourself, the same way you will love on your child, we all need to learn to love on ourselves. So this is something I'm very passionate about, and I push this wherever I go. Self-compassion should not be overlooked.
Wow. Wow. And I remember when I was going through the concussion recovery,
Yeah,
you helped me with this issue as well
right,
to take it easy and not to be frustrated from the long recovery
right,
time and how to be
okay.
passionate with myself. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for everything and for all these
Mm,
wonderful advice that you're sharing with
mm.
us today. So, I believe listening to people's personal struggles and like everyday problems is
Yeah.
kind of overwhelming. So I'm not sure how do you how do you manage your own mental health while working in such a demanding field.
You know what? I'll be very honest with you, and I think we've addressed this before. I simply leave my work at work.
Oh,
That's it. That's for me. I understand perfectly that I am there to support other people, but I'm
okay.
not required to make their problems my problem. Right. So, it's not helpful to clients if I make their problem my problem. That means I can listen next time. That means I'm already, we call it transference, and there's transference and counter transference happening. If I'm not aware of that, I'm not going to be able to support my client properly. So yeah, I make it a point to leave work at work and not to worry about what I've heard or whatever, and to just continue with my day. So that's how I take care of myself. I switch it off. Like I said, I have this literal imagination. I'm leaving work, I'm shutting the door on work, and I'm opening the door home. So that's it. And I make that switch and I carry on.
About what are the initiatives, like that we can take as individuals to
Yeah.
support mental health in our communities?
Okay. Um, this is extremely important question for our communities, especially for our communities, the kind of communities we, like you said earlier, right? We have there's some taboos that we don't want to confront because so it's a taboo in our cultures, right? But the way I try to encourage people is we should stop labeling mental issues as bad because when we do that, it prevents people, especially our family members. I personally believe your family members should be very comfortable to open up to you before they go open up to people outside. Right. But if as a family we label mental health as something that is bad, our members are not going to open up to us. And then we could have family members suffering in silence when they could have felt comfortable enough to open up so we can offer them support in the first place. So I just tell community members that to remember that mental health is also a health challenge. So if you have someone who's going through mental health difficulty, know that the same way when you go to the hospital when you're sick for a headache or whatever is the same thing as mental health. It's a health issue and should be treated as such and should not be minimized, should not be the person should not be embarrassed for having mental health issues, right? Because for me, I says when you support your loved one, I think um, with physical ailment, you should also be able to support them with the emotional.
And building trust. I believe, like with this challenging world, uh, people, especially parents, they don't have enough time. But if we open up and build this supportive environment in the family, I
Yeah,
believe we're going to help each other regarding
right.
this matter.
I'm an advocate for families. Yeah, having family support one another is extremely important. And for immigrant communities as well, right? So I think I'm from Africa, especially I'm from Nigeria. People are very family oriented. Everybody's concerned, and I know in that culture too, it can be a bit a lot of boundaries can be crossed, in a way, so that's another thing people need to learn on how to respect your child's boundaries. If you want to help your child, for example, don't say because if that person is your child, you can treat them like, across boundaries, so having an open conversation and being, but like I think you made the point, openness of the family to be there to support is so crucial. Because I think the family is the first point of contact before the outside world, right? And like to your point, right, we're so busy in this environment that we don't have time, right? So, but we have to make time because yeah, I don't think we would like the outcome if we don't make time for our families. Yeah, especially for our children. Yeah,
Absolutely. And most of the families, like when they choose to immigrate or, like to move countries,
yeah.
mainly it's because of the children. So
So eggs. Wow, that is so true. That is true. You said that.
for how to take care of our mental health, like in a couple of points.
I would just want to end it up by saying, um, please practice self-care or self-compassion. That for me would be the starting point where you recognize that it's okay that you're struggling. Do not beat yourself up for struggling through a mental health crisis. Extend self-compassion to yourself the same way you extend it to someone you love. You have to learn to do that for yourself. And yes, get out there, enjoy yourself, take care of yourself. We work hard in this culture. We should also learn to play very well because, for me, play and work, we have to have it in balance. Don't overwork and ignore your health in the process. Eat right, spend time with family. If you know you're struggling, go see a professional, talk to your doctor. Yeah, and communities are very important. Be a part of a community. Spend time to open up to people you trust within your own community as well. So I guess that's some of the things I would like to leave the audience with.
I want to express my gratitude for your guidance during my
Yeah.
own treatment from concussion. Uh,
Mm,
your support, your understanding, and your
yeah.
kindness helped me to build this trust quickly
Mm,
and to open up.
yeah.
It was crucial for me to open up, but
Mm,
I received the right advice. So
mm,
thank you so much, and this is why I'm here today, just to
yeah.
share your
Mm.
service with my communities. So how can people contact you?
So right now I offer private sessions to clients. So um, people can contact me by email or by my phone number, which I'll give to you. I guess you can always include it
Sure,
in the
gonna
link. So whilst I'm happy to support people, I also just want people to be aware that they don't have to, it's not just me. There's actually a platform called Psychology Today
Okay.
where people can also search out the right therapist for themselves and they can connect with as many therapists that suits their that meets their needs. But yes, I will be more than happy to support people when they come to me, but I also encourage people to seek to talk to other therapists just to see if it's the right fit for them. So I'll also provide you my Psychology Today link where people can also Google me and I guess make request or book sessions with me on that platform. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for today, and thank you so much for all your efforts raising awareness and your survey that you provide. We wish you all the best, and God
Thank
bless
you.
you always.
Thank you very much. And please invite me for more. I love this. I enjoyed my time here and I'm looking forward to be able to join the community again.
Of course, if you have any questions, guys, you can just write them down and we can have another episode with Mr. Shola to answer all your questions. And I wish everybody who's watching this episode today to be safe and to be happy. And I will see you next time. Take care, guys.
Bye.